In today's episode, I have my good friend and coworker and colleague for many years, Matt Nelson, join me. I invited Matt to be on the show to talk about PPC. Well, us old timers call it PPC. The new timers probably call it Google Ads. This is pay per click. These are the paid search ads, another term that people use to get your business listed on Google search results. And Matt's been doing PPC Google Ads for a lot of years. I think over a decade now. He's really good at what he does, and we've worked together on many campaigns. And so today, what I wanted to do was I invited Matt over to talk about running Google Ads for a law firm. Specifically to law firms, we're going to center our conversation around law firms. However, most of the things that we talk about will be applicable to any practice, like a dental practice or a veterinary practice or any kind of small business, really, because we're going to talk at a high level. But there are going to be some really significant nuggets surrounding PPC for law firms as well. So, with that introduction, I'd like to invite Matt. Thank you for joining me, Matt. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Oh, thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did I get that right? You've been doing PPC for over a decade. I know I've known you for 6 or 7 years or 8 years. I don't know how
Yeah.
long you've been doing it for.
This December, let's see what, like 2000. Wow. Time does fly. Yeah. This December will be about 14 years.
Oh, wow. 14
Been
years.
in the industry. Yeah.
Yeah. I got
Yeah.
my Google PPC certification in 2009. So it's been 15 years.
Yeah.
But I
I
never,
think we
I didn't renew
started
it
around the
though.
same time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I
Yeah.
remember, back in I don't know, can I say names on companies or, but I
Yeah. Well,
remember
I
when I
probably
first
don't
joined the
want to. Yeah.
office, at the agency we used to work at,
Yeah.
yeah, I remember, yeah, I think we started around the same time. Yeah, that's
Okay.
cool.
Okay. Yeah. So let's talk about the fundamentals of PPC first, right? I mean, if you are a law firm and you are thinking about doing PPC, what are some of the things you need to think about? Like what are some things that you would advise them to think about?
With PPC, so like the benefits of PPC, the main things you want to think about is like, are you looking for immediate results? And I got to be careful saying results because I think a lot of advertisers may think that means like sales. That doesn't mean sales. Immediate results is more, think of visibility is probably the best way of wording it. So if you're maybe really needing to get immediate visibility, maybe you're just starting out, or are organic. Google does a lot of things on the SEO side, and maybe their visibility organically has dropped significantly, and they need to make that up with PPC. Why they get back on track. PPC is really good for a lot of those things. So definitely immediate visibility. Also, like targeted advertising, like basically being able to target your users that you're after, your audience, I should say. I'm used to saying users,
Yeah. Yeah.
but basically targeting your audience a little better. Compared, because even like, I mean, I know on SEO you could put a lot of, you could stop bots with certain software out there. You could plug into WordPress or whatever other platform you use to try to remove as much of those bots as possible, because people don't realize all over Google, like there's just bots everywhere, and
Yeah.
it's one thing and it's worse on the PPC side because you're spending money, right? So
Yeah. You don't want that
organically,
paid
you could,
traffic. Yeah.
just bots go in and out, but PPC, you want to be careful with that. So what I mean by targeted, being more precise into the targeting, is you could do things in PPC, like, because SEO, even though you plug in something, it's not guaranteed. Bots aren't going to creep in, but PPC, you could keep working at it. Like there's a little more flexibility in stopping the bot traffic
Yeah.
with tools, and making sure you're paying attention to searches, and looking at the lead quality, like you're going to do a lot of lead management, those type of things. So basically, that's the first part I like about PPC, is being able to really just clean up the bad traffic that you're getting. And also, you could be a little more specific on where you want to target. Like, I mean, how many local companies, always get Google Ads and SEO mixed up because, they
Yeah.
got to
Yeah. That's a good
call out
point.
like another country or something, right? Or they got to
Yeah.
search in, somewhere clear across the country, and they found them on Google. And, so it's with Google Ads, you could you create like boundaries, around your ads, so you could definitely say, okay, I don't want to show up in New York if I'm in, Utah, or I don't, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Things
So
like
basically,
that. So
what
you
you're
could
saying
add,
is if you want visibility, right, you're struggling with being found on search. That's one way. The other one is if you want to have a good, more targeted traffic. So you don't want to have bots or people from outside your market coming in. So you could target really well. And because it's paid, Google is more responsible, right, for making sure that you get the right kind of
yep,
traffic. Because it's not like
yeah,
they don't want to be. You're basically an advertiser on Google.
yeah, and that makes them more, attorneys would love this. Makes them more liable.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
So
yeah,
let's
yeah,
talk like, we're talking about for law firms. So yeah, because Google, yeah, they in a sense have to make it that way with paid ads, because yeah, and right now they're under a lot of pressure already, because they don't let everyone know, but a lot of, like, I want to say, I mean, I don't know, like, this is just what I heard, so from other experts in the industry, but like, I want to say almost like a quarter or maybe even a third of their traffic is probably garbage,
Oh,
honestly. So
really? On
you
Google?
really, yeah, and they don't want anyone knowing that, because antitrust suits or something like
Yeah,
that. So they have to put those in place, but they may not tell you about it. So it's
yeah,
very important that you don't just light up Google ads and
yeah. So you do have to be
well,
measured about the way you do it.
oh
So
yeah, yep.
basically, if you're considering PPC, you can basically get benefits of good traffic to your site. You can get targeted traffic to your site, and you can also control the message. You can switch that
Oh yeah,
message quite often, right? You can
oh yeah.
say if you've got a 30% off offer. I don't know if it's relevant to attorneys, but maybe you want to highlight a certain type of practice. Like maybe this month you want to highlight only your, I don't know, DUI stuff, and then the next month you want to just highlight injury stuff or something like that. You can do that. You can switch on
Oh
a dime
yeah.
like that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, like flexibility with seasonality, would probably, I think that would probably maybe kind of fall in that category. But
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, like DUI attorneys may want to run, like if they're doing criminal defense, let's say, right? But they have DUI as a practice, they may want to go heavy in that practice area, maybe on like, Labor Day, close to Labor Day or something, like, you know what I
Holidays,
mean? Like
weekends.
where,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
where a lot of people do make
Football
irresponsible
Saturdays,
choices.
right? Right. I mean, if you're into college football, then maybe you want to have your DUI ads running Saturday night in Madison,
Yeah,
Wisconsin.
yep, yep, exactly. So things like that. So you could turn things on, turn things off. We'll get. I mean, there's another tactics. I'll stick to the topic though, but try not to let my mind go into the weeds there. But you still want to, there's still a lot of management, even with whatever running
Yeah.
in that direction. So.
Yeah, yeah. So tell me a little bit about when, like you said, you were very careful in saying results. Like you could mean traffic results, but there's what other results would you be thinking of besides leads from this kind of campaign?
Yeah, so well, really just like, if you, let's take our like GA4 for example, right? Like if you'll notice right away, like if you launch anything paid ads, like that could be paid social or Google ads or Bing, you'll notice an influx in or your sessions, and those things are,
Mhm.
even an influx in users if you're on GA. So that's what, when you hear them say immediate results, that's what they're referring to. Compared to, like, and I like what you said about the ad copy, because that's another immediate thing you could do, because there may be, like if you're accepting new patients, you may offer, if you normally don't put like a free consultation, some attorneys don't do that. They like do more like a credit back type of thing if they actually sign up. Just because, like, especially in law firms, like you're gonna get a lot of, I hate to use the word tire kickers, but people like,
Yeah.
looking for free advice, and they don't understand probably the struggle that law firms go through, like in the time, and law firms are extremely busy. So yeah, you want to. So I can understand why a lot of them get rid of free consultation because of that. But you could, let's say you're really need new patients, and you're
You
just,
mean
or
but free
patients. I'm sorry, I'm
clients, free
thinking
clients, yeah.
clients. Yeah, I'm thinking the another industry. Sorry. But yeah, you may want new clients. So you may say, hey, offering some kind of discount, or maybe saying free consultation. We don't get paid, so you get paid if it's injury related.
Yeah.
Those type of things really help, I think. especially if you're really wanting new patients. So if you're loaded with patients and and you're really not needing more influx there, then PPC probably that'd be a different talk. I would say maybe doing or keep your SEO going, doing those things. But
Yeah.
PPC really is for those practices that really need that immediate response,
Yeah.
like they need immediate clients. Or even though I'm careful about guaranteeing immediate clients because there is a learning curve that takes place, but compared to organic, ramping up your SEO, PPC, yeah, if you put them in, together, yeah, PPC is definitely more immediate than organic.
Yeah, I mean that's an important distinction because Google is trying to take away that distinction just by the way their search engine page looks nowadays. Before it was pretty clearly marked what is sponsored and what is not, but nowadays it's like, I mean, it's I almost find it rather deceptive. Like you do a search for, let's say, a laptop at Best Buy, and the Best Buy ad shows up, and now you're paying Best Buy is paying Google for just you to be able to go to Best Buy's website because the Best Buy link is so far below, you don't want to scroll all the way down there, you know. So that's kind of the thing. So there's a lot of distinctions there. But
Oh
organic
yeah.
does take, I mean, we do organic at our agency, and we always say 6 to 8 months minimum to ramp up to get
Mhm.
to a place where Google has indexed you. You can start seeing some rankings. But in those 6 to 8 months, if you want to get some immediate results, immediate
Oh
traffic,
yeah.
then PPC would be the way to go. When are situations where, but then again, law firms also have to consider the fact that getting somebody to your website is only the first problem, right? Then you gotta have a landing page that
Oh yeah. Yep.
speaks to the user, and then an offer or an incentive for them to call you, right? And then after they
Yep.
call you, you got to close it. So there's a whole process, right? So
Oh
that
yeah.
even though if the cost per click is $20, you could probably be looking at 180 $200 cost per lead, so unless your service can recoup that, very easily,
Yeah.
it's not really worth doing it. So I think that's one of the things that I always tell attorneys and law firms is to do the math on all of that.
Oh yeah. Yep.
So can you speak to that a little bit? How do you do the math?
Yeah, no, that's yeah, each and I've seen attorneys, they a lot of times they do perform differently, and a lot of it is market based too.
Mhm.
Like in Utah, for a divorce attorney out there, you're going to have a lot of probably more conversions than you are in like West Palm Beach, right? or
Yeah, yeah.
or San Francisco, because there's just so many lawyers, or DC, like places like that. So if you are in a market that's very competitive, yeah, you definitely want to be a little more strategic about your
Mhm.
approach to PPC. Don't think, I know we get caught up in visibility, but don't, think like I call it billboard mentality, where you're always seeing this billboard here, and why is my ads not showing up here? And we're probably doing you a favor by not showing your ads in certain searches. You know what I mean? And because we're not aiming just for in PPC, you don't want to aim just for visibility or clicks. You want to aim for your goals, and that's
Mhm.
conversions, bringing in those leads so you could close them on your end. So it's very important because I do notice a lot of times, and it's understandable because if you're like we do this all the time, so we know these things, right? But I think a lot of attorneys, when they view PPC or even digital marketing, a lot of times they think of, hey, I paid for this billboard. I'm going to see this billboard all the time, when it's pay per click. And so you got to be a little more strategic on the pay per click side than just a flat fee type of advertisement, right? Like,
Yeah.
um, and that's why I never. I'm sorry, I'm trying not to get in the weeds here, so I'll take a
Yeah, yeah,
step
yeah. We
back.
got to keep it high level because our audience doesn't
Yeah.
really do this every day, so we got to kind of,
Well, it's really
yeah.
just one of those, things where everyone's different, and so like I'm talking about one thing, but I think about another client, you know what I mean? So it's kind of everything. So that's what I mean. Like you just really need to try to really focus on your law firm, your goals, what it is that you're wanting to achieve, and what your numbers are, of course, because your cost per click is going to attorneys have some of the worst CPCs in PB, especially DUI attorneys. Like I've seen DUI attorneys, cost per click starting out go over $100,
$100 a
and
click.
that's a click. Yeah, that's. I mean, if you want to do some math, I mean, usually the benchmark standard for conversions are around 5%, like a conversion rate.
Yeah.
And so how many clicks will you need for, like just to get a lead based off that number, and then I mean it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's insane. So I highly recommend staying local.
Yeah. You
So,
got to stay
because that
local.
does help lower some of the cost, because if you think if you're a national brand, well, larger firms, they probably, don't worry too much. But a lot of local law firms, you know, they're limited, right? They don't
Mm.
have all the resources like national law firms. So local law firms, keep it local. Grow slow, because it is very pricey, and you want to make sure you start, bringing in clients, and make it, like going from leads to clients. You want to make sure that's happening before you, really go into it. So it is pricey, like you said. DUI was one thing, but if you're like a social security disability lawyer, for example, your cost per click will probably be around $10 to $20
Yeah.
starting out. Usually 15. I honestly probably should just say 15. Um, and that's just from my experience of what I've seen. So going from social security to DUI, I mean, it's a
That's a big,
huge
yeah, I was going to
change.
say
So
I've
yeah.
seen a wide variation based on the practice area, depending on what you do. I mean, we've done work for estate planning attorneys, DUI,
Oh yeah.
business attorneys, and different ways, IP attorneys and things like that. So it really varies on what your expectations are. But I think your advice is well merited. You do need to do the math on this whole thing. You need to basically say, okay, how much, if this is your budget, how many clicks can you get, right? So you got to know what the cost per click is, so you can,
Oh yeah.
divide the budget by the cost per click, and then you get the number of clicks. And then it's like anything, right? You're not going to close all of them, right? And you're saying 5% conversion. So if you get 100 people to your site and it's costing you $50 a click, that's $5,000, right? And if only 5% of those are converting, meaning they're turning into clients, what's your revenue on those five, those, that
Yeah.
5%? And
Is it
and does
worth
that,
it?
is it worth
Are you
it?
gonna get a good amount?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I
Are the
mean,
margins there?
yeah,
Yeah.
I don't want to intimidate people. You will get a good margin. That's why you have people like Matt, right? We have people like
Yeah.
you to
Oh, yeah. That's the whole reason
basically,
why I bring this up is because you
yeah,
do not want to light it on your own. You want
yeah,
to, you want
yeah,
to let us help, or if you know other PPC specialists that you trust, that are really
yeah,
good at what they do, because there are a lot of bad apples out there. And one thing I always hear about, especially you see those ads, like I see a lot of Facebook lately. I've been seeing a lot of Facebook ads, and I've done that before. Like they're all like, long, and, oh, are you tired of paying this for us and all this stuff, right? Just know if it, and I used to hate it when adults used to tell me this when I was young, but if it's too good to be true, it probably is. And that's the thing. So when you're starting off with PPC, you want to make sure you want to look at it as an investment, because a lot of people that believe these just sales ads, really nothing wrong with sales. I know a
yeah,
lot of great salespeople, but like I just like there's a lot of, bad apples out there, and when they sell like a unrealistic perspective, like they'll sell you something without even like talking to a
yeah,
specialist,
yeah, yeah. No,
and
no,
be
yeah,
like,
I get it. Yeah, yeah, I get it. But
guarantee you top positions,
yeah,
and
basically
all
what you're
this.
trying to
So
say is don't fall for those quick rich, get rich quick kind of schemes, right?
yeah,
So
yeah, it is in reality, it takes time, like because there's a learning curve with Google Ads. The reason why SEO takes time is because there's a lot of content development, and it's a
yeah,
completely different monster. PPC takes time because you have to collect data. So let's say like starting off like a family lawyer, right? Let's take family law. Starting off, we'll probably want to be a little more granular on their match types for keywords.
right,
So like we'll probably want to start with exact and phrase match, and do like a maximize conversions bidding strategy, for example, and let the system, learn, and let it bring in those conversions. And of course, let me back up. This is with conversion tracking set up, of course.
yeah,
So once
yeah,
we actually, they onboarded, we have their goals, we know what they want to accomplish on their website, we know what forms they want filled, chat bots, or whatever we want to track. And then we go and maximize conversion. So now the system is going to optimize not for top positions or being number one all the time, because if we think about it, like Google's so saturated and it's so competitive. No one can show up. I don't care who you are. No one, you can maybe show up in top positions, but no one's going to be number one all the time. Like
Yeah.
it doesn't. I don't care if you're the biggest law firm out there, and you have your SEO for years and it's working. It's no one is always at the top. So just get rid of that bad, on that bad. Whoever told you that, just ignore them because they don't know what they're talking about.
Right.
And I've been doing this long enough, so it's just like sometimes you just when you have experience, you just have to be honest and brutally honest. And I think that does people more of a favor than lying to them and selling them on something that's just not realistic.
Yeah.
So, when starting, just make sure you look at it as an investment. I would once our agency, we do, and Silas could agree with this too. We do determine what an average CPC is going to look like for you. So we do give estimates and projections and those type of things to give you an idea of where your budget should be at.
Yeah.
And if and so like let's say we provide a monthly budget, like a projection based off, what I talked about, a benchmark conversion rate 5%. Now keep in mind, it may perform better. That's me being conservative. So I'm
Yeah.
just giving you conservative numbers right now. So you may get 10% conversion rate. I mean, so if you want to think positive, just know that once the learning curve is up, we're ramped up with the conversions. Usually that's when the cost per conversion starts coming down,
Right.
and that's when your cost per click starts coming down. So at first, right out the gate, yeah, you're gonna. I mean, let's go back to Social Security since they're a little more inexpensive on the cost per clicks compared to other practice areas. But let's say you're doing $20, you start off $20 a click for the first month. Well, by month two, you'll probably notice that start to drop a few percentage points. And then eventually when the system gets enough conversion data points, I want to say like let's say 3 months, right? And we get a lot of good data points. That's when you want to be probably a little more aggressive with your bidding strategy. So now you could take your phrase and exact match that we've been running, and you could probably create a separate campaign for like a broad match now, and then go like target CPA, right? And then well, ROAS probably wouldn't really work. I'm thinking e-commerce on that one, but for law firms, like a target CPA may be good, but those don't work as effectively unless you have a lot of conversion data. So that's what I mean by starting off, an exact match type first with your keywords. And you brought up landing page earlier. So it's one of those things where you want to make sure your keywords, your ad copy and your landing page are tightly themed,
Yeah.
meaning relevancy, because that's going to help with your cost per clicks as well. That's how Google will reward you for being relevant, meaning you can outrank your competitors at a lower cost. So we want to make sure everything's tightly themed, and then the conversion tracking set up. We have the correct bidding strategy, and as things ramp up and we start seeing significant improvement in the first 3 months, that's when we could get a little more aggressive and go, okay, broad match type, and then put on target CPA. Always monitor those search terms. Don't get me wrong. We always want to make sure nothing's slipping through the cracks. I mentioned earlier about bots and all this other bad traffic that happens. So you definitely want to stay on top of that. But I think that approach is one approach that I've used and it has worked significantly. The only time I run into any challenges with law firm clients is when they have unrealistic expectations. They
Okay.
think, oh, hey, the first week, I'm going to land that big case or something.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
Like I'm just, and I always have to, and usually a lot of that comes just because of expectations and settings that I was maybe not a part of or something. And because if I talk to you, I'm going to tell you,
yeah.
and that's just the way it is. So I'm not trying to
Yeah.
brag. I just
So just to go back
as
to CPA is cost per acquisition, right? So it's
That's
kind of like the
correct. Yeah,
cost per
thanks
acquisition
for
of client.
catching that.
I just
Yeah.
want to make sure
So
that those people that are, we're not
yep.
talking about CPAs like that do taxes. So,
No, no, no.
so
Yeah,
yeah.
not about those
Well, no,
CPAs.
that's a
Yeah.
great overview. I think that that was a lot for somebody that's not familiar with PPC to grasp, but I think you did a really good job explaining all of that. Now, there's a couple other things that comes up when you are in Google Ads. One is display advertising. should you consider as a law firm display advertising at all? My short answer is not really, but I wonder what you would say.
I'm kind of right away. I would say, let me think about this one.
And while
I
you're
know
thinking,
the
what I
answer.
mean by yeah, while you're
I don't want to
thinking,
go into the weeds again. That's
yeah,
all
yeah,
I'm
you don't
trying
want
to
to go into the weeds,
say.
but what I mean by display advertising is you upload an image and then it shows on other people's websites if they're
Oh
part of
no,
the
yeah, no,
if they're part
yeah,
of
no,
the
I'm
I just want
aware.
to
I
make sure our
just
listening audience is familiar with what we're
Oh,
talking
okay.
about.
Oh,
Yeah,
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 that's
yeah.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
no, yeah, display ads are, so basically there's a Google, that's where I'll start. How about that? So I'm getting my train of thought. Yeah, let's define Google Display. You're right. Our audience probably should know what that is first. So Google Display Network is a massive, and that's an understatement, network of publisher sites that signed up through a program called AdSense with Google, and they place Google ads on those publisher sites. You'll probably notice them if you're ever surfing the web or looking at a website. You'll see like a little ad logo pop up next to an image. Those are Google Display ads. There's also another type of, I don't want to call it display. Google calls it demand gen ads,
Okay.
that are kind of similar. The only difference is demand gen show up on Google properties like YouTube, a YouTube feed, or Gmail, for Gmail, and then of course Google's Discover app. So if you ever see any, you're using a Google app, you see any static image ads there, that would be considered a demand gen ad. So if you're going to do display, I almost prefer demand gen over display. But if you're going to do display, I would recommend experimenting with demand gen as well, just to see which performs best, as well as search. You could put it in a performance max campaign, because if you do that, that's pretty much everything.
Yeah.
But I will tell you this, going back to what Silas was trying to get to, is I think that if you have the resources and you have the budget, there's nothing wrong with doing some brand awareness, and then we can retarget. So really, all you're doing with demand gen and display is you're putting your brand out there. So you, the law firm of so and so, right? And then of course you have images. You want to be very specific in your images, like what separates you apart from your other, for other, like competitors. Like what makes you a better attorney, than your competitor attorney in the same market area.
Yeah.
So those type of things. So you want to be very specific with your image ads, and also your image. You want to make sure it's, your images, relative to your audience and what they may be going through. So if it's social security disability, you want to make sure you have an image of somebody that's needing help,
Yeah. Yeah.
for, they may have be in a wheelchair or something, some kind of health issue in the image, and things like that. Same thing with DUI. You may want to, have
Yeah. Yeah.
someone looking like he messed up, in the image or
Yeah.
something like that, and
But I mean,
needs help,
in terms of performance, though, I mean, from a business owner's perspective, you're looking at return on investment. So I think you nailed it there from a brand awareness perspective, and then also from maybe from a retargeting perspective, it could make sense to do the display or the on demand, the demand gen ads and things like that.
Oh yeah,
But there, go
oh,
ahead.
I'm sorry. I don't want to. I hope I'm
No,
not stepping on any toes here.
no,
I
no,
just
go
wanted
ahead.
to add a little, because I have, just to give an example, right? Like we see, I still have cable. I'm one of the few that haven't cut my cord yet.
Oh, okay. Well,
Of
there's a
course, I
lot of
added all
people.
the other streaming stuff, so it
Yeah,
just made
no,
my bill worse. Thank you,
yeah,
technology.
yeah,
But like, but I still have cable, so I see a lot of lawyer commercials, in the local market area. And I guarantee you, like right when people, if they're going through something, they see those ads, they're going right back to Google to search. So I use that, and they're going to search from directly. So one approach, if you want to do display, don't just do display because it's cheap on a cost per click. You want to make sure you're doing paid search first, and then you add a display with that. Because what's going to happen is, um, right now, what you're doing, it's like expanding your reach. Let's say you're maxed on your reach and you need more audience. You need more people, right, to target because you maxed out in search or something. You could utilize display or demand gen or even video ads to do that, to increase that audience. Because once you increase that audience, what we're going to do is we're going to retarget all those impressions and views and clicks with a search ad. So when they come back to Google search and they're part of an audience that we've created, an audience segment, of users that may have came, to your website through display or through or watched a specific video. We could personalize the search ads a little better that way. So to really hit, your target audience. So
Yeah.
now it's almost like, now you're willing in more audience. So you're kind of like fishing for more fish.
You just went to a bigger from a bay to the ocean.
Yeah,
Instead of
yeah, there you go.
instead of
So
just
the bay is like all depleted. So let's,
let's go.
let's
Yeah, yeah,
hop on the yacht
yeah,
I wish I owned
yeah.
and
Yeah.
just kidding.
So we're kind of heading towards our time limit here, so I want to be conscious of that. But quick words. We've also done some local search ads too for some of our attorney clients, right? With the ones with good reviews,
Oh yeah,
they have to
yeah.
get certified and approved by Google. But this one's kind of interesting in the sense that you pay per lead. So you show up at the top, you get a lead. If it's a good lead, you pay for it. If not, you can dispute it with Google and then not pay for that. We've been able to do that. So there's lots of options here for law firms.
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely. And same thing with so the difference between display, I would say, and local service ads would be display is low intent. So going back to the brand, and local service ads is really high intent. I
Yeah,
don't know. So and now let's think about that, right? Because high intent doesn't necessarily mean it's going to perform all the time either, because there's times it's quiet. There's times the attraction's not there because no one's,
yeah,
searching for your services. So because of that, I usually recommend, PPC brings balance to both of those.
right.
Okay, so PPC for display and local search ad or service ads, excuse me. By doing PPC in the middle, when local service ads is lacking, your
Yeah,
PPC is there. And I've actually seen that when I look at performance and I have a law firm that's actually running local service ads and PPC. You could literally see it. Like you could see like when the local service ads are doing better, PPC maybe getting a fewer, maybe down a little bit, by
yeah,
percentage, right? But your local service ads are up, and then vice versa. Like when your local service ads are maybe not getting traction, your PPC campaign starts to get more traction. I literally see that in the data when I'm
wow.
looking at law firms. So I suggest doing both. Like if you're going to want a well-rounded strategy, just put display aside. That's for if you're looking for brand visibility right away and you want to expand your audience reach there. But if you're going to do PPC, paid search, make sure you add local service ads with it, because they really do complement each other. One shouldn't replace the other, though. I think that's a big mistake when law firms do that. My
Okay,
opinion. Not trying to offend
that's
anybody.
great advice, Matt. That's great advice. Well, we're almost towards the end here, so I want to thank you, Matt, for taking the time to go through this. Any books or
Yeah.
any resources you would recommend for people as they
Yes, this is my favorite marketing book. I read this when I was in college at ASU. Blue Ocean Strategy.
Blue
Um,
Ocean Strategy? Who's
this
the
book
author?
right here, this is my favorite book. So if you want to check it out on Amazon or something like that, I would highly recommend it. It basically talks about how to separate yourself from the bloody ocean waters of competition, right? Hence the
Ah,
blue ocean strategy. So how do you separate from the competition? And Starbucks did it. What back in the day, young people probably haven't even heard of Folgers.
oh
But
yeah,
back in the day, remember those coffee house and all these like different like brands? We actually had to pour stuff in this like filter and you know so in Starbucks, what they did is, and the book brings it out, is they created an environment, with that coffee smell, and so it became like a social thing. They made coffee social, and that's what separated them. And it gave rise to coffee. Like if it
coffee
wasn't for
houses
Starbucks, we
everywhere.
wouldn't have
Yeah,
as many coffee houses as we do today. So thank you so much, Howard Schultz. We love you. And and
yeah,
like so things
yeah.
like that. And then like NetJets is another example they use as like people that, instead of buying your own private jet, NetJet separated them by doing like a timeshare version of owning a private jet, and that's what like separated them from their competitors. So of other like private jet charter companies. So that's just a glimpse of just a little summary. There's more great examples in here, but I recommend if you're really struggling trying to find like your identity as a company and as a law firm, because law firm you want to run as a business as well, And if you're looking for that identity, I highly recommend reading Blue Ocean Strategy. It just gives you that motivation and inspiration and knowledge on how to determine like what separates you apart from everyone. So put some thought into it. Lawyers are some of the best thinkers out there. So like
Yeah,
just
yeah.
put some heavy thought into it and what separates you from others. And yeah, give us a
Thank you.
call.
That's a great suggestion. You know what? Now that you mention it, I think I'm going to go and read that as well.
Oh, you'll love
So,
it. Oh
so
yeah,
thank you,
yeah,
Matt. I really
yep,
appreciate it. Appreciate you having you on here. I think we learned a lot today about the benefits of doing PPC, when a law firm should consider doing PPC. We didn't necessarily talk about when a law firm should not consider PPC, but I think we hinted at it. And then how you could approach it. We also talked about display advertising, when to do it, what the results might be, and then local service ads and how you can use that to boost your PPC and things like that. So I think we covered a lot today. So Matt, thank you so much for joining, and hopefully we
yeah,
can do this again sometime.
yeah. Thank you so much, Silas. I appreciate you, and thanks for the opportunity to have me here. So
All right.
this is, by the way, this is my first podcast
All
I've ever
right.
been
All
invited
right.
to.
There's a trivia.
So
There's
thank
some
you. I'm
trivia right
very
there.
grateful.
So, all right. Thank you, Matt. Bye.
All right, take care. Have a good one. Bye bye.